How do I know I've reached the ultimate level of intimacy? There is no ultimate level of intimacy. That sounds like a tool. Get the best tool, you get the ultimate results. There's no ultimate results. If you are really, really enjoying him, that's it. Doesn't get better than that. You know, if you ask a hungry person who hasn't eaten in a while and you give him something to eat, and you ask him, how does it taste? He has no idea. He is so happy to have food. Does it taste a little spicy, a little salty? He couldn't care less. He's having real food. Only bored people who don't enjoy food anymore need a little more salt, a little more pepper, a little more. What's wrong with food? Food is boring. So just eat salt. That's what tools are. When you're getting pleasure from a tool, it means that intimacy is no longer interesting. The person you're with is boring, and you need like very spicy food to make it interesting. It's sad. Can you explain the makabel's role? We'll get to that in a second. Can a couple be satisfied with just sex and not intimacy? That's the problem. Yes, you can be satisfied, and that's bad news, because there's no place to go from there. There's no growing. So if a couple finds themselves satisfied with sex, this is really a warning, a red line, a red flag that you got to do something. What are some of the practical steps to experience true intimacy? And what is the makabel's role? Yeah, it says in Chassidus and the Gemara that when Mashiach comes, the women will become the mashpiyim, and the men will be makabel from their wives. Which is a kind of a scary thought. A reversal of roles? You mean men are not going to be men anymore? And women aren't going to be women anymore? That doesn't sound good. And what's the point? What's the point? What's the difference? Who's the man and who's the woman? Why would we switch roles? What, women are going to be better at being men? It doesn't make any sense. Why? Why should that happen? When you have a couple, you have to have a makabel and a mashpia. What is the benefit of switching and you be the makabel, you be the mashpia, and he'll be the makabel? So what? Also, it says that when Mashiach comes, nothing in nature will change. This is a huge change. It's a change of nature. So the meaning of it is like this. In the Maimer that the Chassan says by the Chasana, it says that the mashpia is responsible for the makabel's ability to be makabel. That the mashpia has to give the makabel koyach to be makabel. In other words, the mashpia makes the makabel. Because he has what to give, and because he is the giver, and because he is the motivator or the initiator, it gives the makabel the ability, the koyach, the desire to be makabel. When Mashiach comes, the wife is going to inspire the husband, not by becoming the husband and turning her husband into a woman. the woman's hunger, being a makabel, will be so powerful. The effects of being a makabel will be so powerful that it'll turn the husband into a mashpia. Something like a good student can turn a mediocre teacher into a great teacher. It's also true that a good teacher can turn a mediocre student into a great student. But when the makabel, when the student inspires the teacher, it's not by becoming a teacher, it's by being such a good student that the teacher is inspired to teach. So lepoil, the makabel, is influencing the mashpia. So in that sense, she's mashpia. But she's mashpia by being more of a makabel. And that is so powerful that it turns an ordinary mashpia into a great mashpia. So until Mashiach comes, men have to make their women be makabel. When Mashiach comes, the women will be makabel, and that'll make the men become mashpiim. And that has already started. It's already started. A woman who is really a makabel turns an ordinary man into a great guy. He becomes a real mensch.
What does that mean? A woman is really a makabel.
Okay, so what is the makabel's role? The Rebbe once explained, why was there a tzimtzum first and then the world was created? The technical reason, because if there's no tzimtzum and the Eibishter is everywhere, then in the presence of the Eibishter you can't have a finite world. So the Eibishter's presence had to go away, so to speak. And in that place where the Eibishter is not present, there you can make a finite world. That's the technical, mathematical cheshbon. The Rebbe explained it differently. The Rebbe said that the tzimtzum left an empty space. What is an empty space? A vacuum. A vacuum is not only empty, it's powerful. Anything that passes by cannot resist the pull of the vacuum and gets drawn into that empty space. So an empty space is not just empty, it's irresistible. When a woman allows a husband into her life, physically, emotionally, that emptiness, that openness is irresistible to a man. If he's a healthy man. Like, if a student asks a sincere question and really wants to know, the teacher will suddenly become a teacher. Suddenly he'll discover abilities that he never knew he had. Because that question is so irresistible. That openness, that desire, that hunger to know makes a teacher crazy. He can't sleep, he has to find an answer. The role of a makabel is to be irresistible. To be irresistible means you don't have to do anything. If you're irresistible, you don't have to do anything. One of the circumstances in which you're not supposed to be intimate, according to Torah, there are 9 circumstances when you shouldn't be intimate. Not good for the intimacy, it's not good for the baby. One of them is, if the wife demands intimacy, then you shouldn't do it. Why? So again, the simple reason is that's not sneezdik. That's why you shouldn't be intimate. There's got to be more of a reason. It's not sneezdik. If the wife is demanding intimacy, then she's not mekabel. She's acting like a mashpia. And not a good mashpia. Or in different words, if the wife has to demand, then something is wrong. Because she should be irresistible. When you're irresistible, you don't have to do anything. So if she has to demand, either there's something wrong with her, or there's something wrong with him. But demanding is not the solution. So that's why Torah says, if a woman feels a need to demand intimacy, then under those circumstances, don't do it. Something's wrong with the whole relationship of mashpia and mekabel. So if you think about it, it's like this. What is it with men who would rather entertain themselves than have a relationship with a woman? Even young boys. If a young boy gets into the habit of entertaining himself, he doesn't develop into a mashpia. There will be something held back, something retarded in his development as a mashpia. Because, in technical terms, he has gotten into the habit of being mashpia to an imaginary mekabel. Because that's what it is. It's not really self-pleasuring. It's pleasuring an imaginary mekabel. What is wrong with a man who is attracted to children sexually? He's a mashpia, but not to the appropriate mekabel. To an appropriate mekabel, he can't be mashpia. He doesn't feel like a mashpia. To a child, he feels like a mashpia. There's something wrong with his role of mashpia. What is adultery? Adultery means attracted, tempted to be a mashpia to a mekabel that you're not allowed to be. So there is a mekabel that you're not allowed to be mashpia to. There's a mekabel that is not even real, it's just imaginary, and there's no one to be mashpia to. Or it's a child which is not your equal. So again, you're being mashpia inappropriately, and if that becomes a habit, you've ruined your whole identity, you've ruined your role, your function as a man. It's destructive. A healthy child comes from a healthy mashpia with a healthy mekabel. Anything less than that, the child is gonna pay the price. So again, what is the role of the mekabel? The role of the mekabel is to be so open and so inviting to the husband that he finds it irresistible.
Is it fair to say that if a man has not achieved the role of mashpia and a woman mekabel, that the child is, whatever the word you use, pay the price? What if the parents are working on getting to that level? The kids still have to pay the price for it?
We're all paying the price.
So can you, what does it mean paying the price? Paying for the mistakes of the parents?
Yeah, David HaMelech says, Ki ba'ovein chaylolti uvechet yechamasni imi, I was born wrong. Because my parents didn't do everything right. He wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about all of us. except for the special, exceptional. The average person is born not out of the optimal, perfect mashpia mekabel. So that's it. That's your job, to catch up, to fix it, and it's not an accident. Everything is b'hashgacha pratis. If you're born with this disadvantage because your parents did whatever, then that's your shlichus, that's your challenge, that's what you need to go through. It comes from the parents, but you can't blame the parents. Because obviously, this was the hashgacha pratis that you should have this challenge. And by the same token, after the fact, parents can't really blame themselves for the children's challenges, because now that it happened, you know that it was hashgacha pratis. But in terms of your own growth and avodah, you want to do it as right as you can possibly do it, and hopefully give your child the maximum benefits. But if that doesn't happen, this is the Eibishter's world. There are no mistakes in the child.